Okay, so the origin of this kind of camp actually in my life came from when I was a teenager. I went to a camp. I don't know how I got there, but the adults who ran the camp were incredible. They had a lot of training, and they really treated us as real people. I got totally turned on to the power of groups, processes that built community, and I started to study it at an early age. And then I became an artist, a singer, songwriter, performing musician for many years. And then at some point I brought these two streams together: experiential education, facilitation, working with youth, and the arts. And that was the origins for me. And I did the first camp of this model in 1996 with a program I started in the United States called Power of Hope. You know, as we do this work in various parts of the world, I see common issues that connect, that all of the youth seem to address or give voice to in some way. And at its essence is how to have a meaningful life. They see a world that is not working. They see an environment in danger, and they see social systems, that are unfair and unjust, and they're wondering what their place in it all could be. So this very common problem or issue at its core is, how do I live a life that makes sense given what is happening in our world? Another common issue that I see is the educational system. What I hear from most youth is that, and what I observe is that the educational system is not really addressing the world that we live in today. We need an educational system that focuses on creativity and curiosity and empowerment. And most education systems are stuck in this old model, and youth are suffering in that old model. I think that there's a real question of power that young people face. They want more of a sense of agency or control in their life and what happens to them, and they would like to engage with adults in such a way that helps them step into more responsibility. And in many communities, there's not enough adults who are stepping up in this way, in an empowering way, and engaging young people. In many of the countries that we work in, one of the issues that youth often talk about is corruption. They see political systems that are dishonest, and they wonder how we're going to solve the problems that we face with so much corruption. So these are some of the common issues that I see. As you look at these exciting, joy-filled images from the camp, it might appear to the viewer that, this is all about just getting together and having fun and games. But I want to let you know that there's a very conscious and deliberate process at work here. And it's a process that's really been honed over time. And it's simple. It's not rocket science. It's a process that any group of people or community can learn to implement. And in very general, broad terms, the process goes like this. We prepare. That's why we did the training with the staff. We get the staff together so that we're all on the same page, so that we understand on a deep level the concepts that we're working with, so that when the youth come, it's almost like they come into a container of welcome that's been consciously prepared, both physically and sort of intentionally amongst the staff. And so that first stage, when the youth arrive, is really doing all we can to issue that deep sense of welcome, to create a sense of clarity about what the purpose and promise of the camp is, to engage the whole community in building the sort of agreements that are going to help us achieve the goals. And then that first stage is about building community, getting to know each other, who's here, learning our names, all of that stuff. There's so many elements that go into it, but the powerful beginning And then the next stage is exploring relationship to self. And that's why as a whole group we did the River of Life activity, becoming conversant and honoring of your own story, and then taking the step to share that story and to experience what it's like when you're listened to sharing your story. So to really learn how to share who you are. And that's why we front end the camp with a whole lot of creative activities, because it helps bring people out. And it helps develop their relationship with their creative self. And then it moves to relationship to other, and we start to explore issues and issues between girls and boys or men and women. And then it moves to your connection to the outer world and to the community. And so that's why we did a whole morning session in voicing your opinions on issues that matter to you, how you step forward and engage your own mind in critical thinking about issues and start to practice different aspects of leadership. And then the final part of the camp is really a celebration of what is learned, and really getting clear about how to take these learnings forward. What are our goals, and how do you want to put those goals into practice, and what kind of support do you need? And so those are really the stages: the welcome and getting clear about what it's about, relationship to self, relationship to other, relationship to the wider world, and then a celebration of all that was learned and making commitments for moving forward. That's the general flow. That's the skeletal structure that the camp is hinged on. What makes a good facilitator? It's a very interesting question. There's a spiritual Buddhist teacher, very well respected in the world. His name is Thich Nhat Hanh. And someone asked him that question once, and he said, a good facilitator is a happy person. And I think at its core, that really captures the essence of it. So a good facilitator is a person who is in touch with their own joy and in touch with their own sorrow. So a good facilitator is someone who knows themselves. A good facilitator is someone who has wrestled with their ego enough to know that it is not about them. The word facilitator comes from the French word facile, easy. So the role of the facilitator is to make the process easy. And I would say even to disappear, such that the group owns, sort of whatever happens. So I guess a good facilitator is a person who is interested in what it means to be truly happy, is trying to practice that. A person who can give and receive feedback, and a person who's really curious about people and really curious about what makes a group come alive, and is willing to adopt the discipline in their life to develop themselves into the kind of person that kind of can hold space and work with the energy of a group in a dynamic and creative way. In this work, we believe, we train facilitators to really focus on the different stages in a group development, and we say that the beginning of a group, how you start, is so important because you can truly set yourself up for success. And closings, endings are also important. It's important to end well. And one of the processes that we've found to be really powerful as we bring these camps to a close is that we ask the community members to go back to their family groups. And one of the things that they do is something that we call an affirmation circle. And where each group member spends time in the center of the group with their eyes closed, and the other members of the group are asked to affirm that person in very specific and concrete ways, and so that we end really hearing a recognition of who we are and the growth that people have seen in us. And it really seems like it's a very powerful and loving way to end, and it kind of creates that sense of strength and self-confidence that a person can walk away with. There's a question of why in such areas of deprivation and such an intense need on a material level, on an educational level, on a skill level, why do we focus on the arts? Or why do we use the arts to focus on the things that we do? And I guess I would say to that is that at the end of the day, what we are left with is ourself. We cannot control what's going to happen to these young people. If we were to give everyone a computer instead of a set of tools for navigating life, we can't predict what they would do with that computer. But we can predict with what will happen when someone's consciousness is awakened, when the light switch is turned on. And that's what happens in these camps. We somehow come together and form the kind of community to assist each other in flipping the switch on. And once you've done that, once you've had an experience that is so deep, so meaningful, so profound that you can't deny it, you're changed forever. And so I do this work because, and I have a long history in this work now, because I've seen as a result young people leave this camp and they commit themselves more to their own education. They raise their voice more in the community. They learn how to build the kind of relationships that actually lead them on a pathway towards success. All the learning that takes place in life, all the success we have, happens through the conversations we have and through the relationships that we form. So if we can instill that deep connection with self, if we can develop skills for forming relationship, for crossing lines of difference, that really stick, these are the kind of tools that last a lifetime. And without those kind of tools, all the material things will not add up to much. Many people, when they hear about this work or when they take part in it a little bit, they talk about that there seems to be some kind of spiritual vibe to it. And I guess what I would say is that this is a program that, first of all, respects all religions. It's not based on one particular spiritual tradition or religion, but it's based on some beliefs or some concepts that I think many religions hold in common, and that's really simply that all life is interconnected. The other belief that this work is based on is that at our core, human beings are loving and compassionate, and that it's possible to be together in such a way that we can uncover the layers that is preventing our compassionate heart, which I think is at the core of our human nature, from coming forward. And so I guess the larger picture for me is that I think there is something arising in the world that goes beyond all the specific religions. There's a verse in a song by Michael Franti, one of my favorite musicians, and he says that music is too big for any one station, and spirit is too big for any one religion. And I think that that's what we're finding in this work, that underneath all of it, underneath all of the differences, the religious differences, the cultural differences, all of it, that there is an underlying core of an interconnectedness of all life, and that this sort of the power and essence of compassion at the core of every human being, and that can be liberated.